That was like my song. It was a weird song.
Just singing about Lorena.
Lorena Bobbitt song. There's no.
Is that the chorus? Is it the verse? Is it the bridge?
It's actually the whole song.
That's it. It's
That's
that
the
one
whole
line.
song. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. Aren't we all a work in progress?
Truth.
So obviously today we're talking about Lorena Bobbitt.
Yes, welcome to Serial Killer, where we pair cereal with murderers, but in this case, it's with a maimer.
Yeah, I mean, she did murder that day.
She tried to murder that day.
No,
it didn't
it
really
rose
work.
again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it rose again. Never mind. I'm Anastasia Washington.
And I'm Maria Spertolozzi.
And yeah, today we are talking about Lorena Bobbitt, and we've got a good pairing.
I think so.
Was this another one of those pairings where we found the cereal and then
we were like, well, we found the cereal, and then
I got really excited because I love Nilla's.
And then also, I just really love talking about Lorena Bobbitt.
So do I.
So we figured that Nilla Banana Pudding Cereal would be perfect.
Because who doesn't like Nilla's and banana pudding, right?
And also bananas, dicks, you know.
What? I didn't even get that.
Yeah.
No, never. But yeah, banana pudding Nilla cereal. Because my mom was one of those ones that made the banana pudding with the Nillas in it. Does it smell great?
Wait, smell this. It smells like fake banana. Or 1950s banana or
oh
whatever.
Oh god, no.
That's terrifying.
I'm very
There's marshmallows in
okay,
here.
Just don't pour a lot of that way. Because I hate the fake banana taste. Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Oh, you got more marshmallow.
I don't know if that's a good thing. It smells like, do you remember at Universal Studios when they used to have the real King Kong? And he had like the banana breath. I don't know how much milk you want.
Fine.
I think, oh god.
Now they do it for the Minions.
They do.
Because Minions love bananas, so they pump the banana smell in, yeah.
Oh god.
It reminds me of Laffy Taffy, like the smell.
Okay,
let's here we go. I'm gonna get a marshmallow.
Is that a really big bite?
Yeah, that tastes like banana Laffy Taffy, and I am not about it.
I'm so disappointed.
That was really bad. Why did I eat that?
It doesn't even taste like Nilla's. It should have just been little tiny mini Nilla's.
Nilla's, that's all I wanted. No, instead it tastes like if you made Kix banana flavored.
Or if you like made banana cough syrup.
Yes.
No! Why did you ruin it?
Thumbs down. Knife down.
Knife down for
Two
that
knives down.
I'm so excited. You know what? I just have to be excited about talking about Peen instead.
About Lorena.
Who is really cool. I took, because you know what you do with your mom? You bring her to Lorena Bobbitt premiere, right?
Amazing. The Amazon documentaries?
Yeah, so I brought her to the premiere. They had it was such a good event. They had all these weird drinks of floating grapefruit, pink grapefruit, so it looked like an appendage floating.
Lovely.
It was beautiful. And Lorena was there. She got to speak about the event.
Yeah.
That defined a nation.
Yeah, it was one of the first cases where they let cameras into the courtroom for the whole case.
I will say that when I was a kid, it was just such a joke.
Well, and that's the thing, is I was listening to a podcast about it where they were but this wouldn't have been funny if she cut off his hand, you know? We wouldn't all be laughing about it if she had hacked off his ear.
Well, not even just the fact that she
cut off his penis.
It was just she was a joke to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about
society.
That time period, because it's even with Monica Lewinsky.
I was just gonna say that.
How we laughed at her and made her a joke, and now we would have been treating her much, much differently. We would have been.
I want to say that Bill Clinton wouldn't have gotten elected, but I think he still would have.
That is he probably still would have.
Because even though he had a scandal, he had a scandal in the middle of his campaign run.
Right.
And then the Monica Lewinsky happened, and everyone was like, impeach him! And it was are we really? Really, guys? Really?
Well,
but, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think that time period.
But yeah, it was the vilify the woman,
we
vilify the victim.
Her. We definitely laughed at her.
Her fault. Where it she was an intern, and like Lorena was an immigrant. She'd been born
in a very abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Where her whole life was just. Her whole life with him was like being raped and beaten, and then being threatened to be deported.
Yeah, constantly being threatened with divorce and deportation because her green card was dependent on the marriage,
right?
Because it was still you have to be married like 3 years or something. I don't know green card laws. I don't have any specifics, but I know there's a certain time period where afterwards you can get like your own citizenship that doesn't depend on whoever you're married to.
I will say also in the documentary I watched, and listen, everybody was making jokes about it, so I won't say that he was the only one, but I will say that Howard Stern had made some really disgusting comments.
About her,
did make me think I don't really want to listen to Howard Stern.
Howard Stern has said a lot of things like that in the past I just can't get over them, and I am done with him.
I guess I always just thought he was like a shock factor.
And
he is.
He is for a lot,
But I will say, when I was watching this documentary, and I was watching how horrible this woman's life was, and he was saying, like, this girl got raped, look at her, why would anybody rape that? I was like, that's
excuse me,
not okay.
What the fuck?
Like, that's not funny. I just realized like how our whole society was during that time period.
For sure.
Just making fun of her, just making a joke of her.
Oh yeah, it was all one giant joke. SNL took shots at her, it was all over the nightly, the late night shows, all of the hosts, and it's like, look, it's all these like men making fun of her, and who are just like horrified by the thing that she did, whereas all these women are looking at her and are like, yeah, I can see it, like, I understand why she cut his dick off.
It was like a weird, like, empowering thing for some people, which, like, it shouldn't be empowering. It's a horrible thing. You should never do it. Even she, like, when she
admitted,
spoke after,
was like,
she was saying, I should have done it. But I will say, like, hearing from her lips, like, how hard it was to be a joke.
Oh, I can't even. Her whole life must have been totally ruined for years.
Even now, she has a kid. She's an activist for women, and she's still the girl that. And listen, that's on her. Yeah,
she did cut her husband's dick off. Like,
she did.
That's correct.
But I think the way that we kind of made her a joke was unfair.
Yeah, the way that it was all treated afterwards.
To a certain extent, comedy's always going to reflect things. Like, there's been a lot of jokes about Jerry Epstein lately.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. And, like, it makes sense. It's this tragic thing that happened. Everyone's dealing with it in their own way. And a lot of that could be and will be comedy. But it's one thing when you're a billionaire running a child sex slave ring and have islands where people are going to, like, buy illegal prostitutes who are, like, 14 or whatever, and a totally different thing when you're in an abusive relationship and you just snap. And, like, that's what eventually, like, the jury said, or whatever the, like, trial came down to, was, like, temporary insanity. That she just did not, she had been in this abusive relationship so long that she could not properly respond to things anymore. And so she just went crazy. And it's like, I can totally relate to that. I've definitely done, like, I've never cut anything off of anyone, but, like, you know, I've thrown things when I've gotten, like, super mad, and, like, you can understand where the impulse comes from.
And I think also they acted like it was very, or, like, at least the, prosecutor acted like it was so planned. And while I do understand that she had said, like, one day I'm just gonna cut his fucking dick off, I don't even know how many times I've said shit like that.
Do you know how many times I've threatened to murder people?
like, so many fucking times. And, like, I don't mean it.
Yeah, the amount of shit that comes out of my mouth every day is, like...
Dude, I always tell people, like, I hope your balls fall off in, like, 7 days.
It's
like,
that episode of The Office where they have that, like, leak about the faulty printers, and Mindy Kahne's like, I don't know, I probably tweeted it. All I do is talk all day. Like, I just say so many things that don't mean anything.
And yeah, she probably said it, and it was like...
Yeah, she was probably heated, and, like, he was,
like, raping her, like, all the fucking time.
The fucked up thing to me is that he, like, to this day, alleges that she was sexually assaulting him and abusing him, and that she was, like... And that's what the jury in her sexual assault trial against him found him not guilty. Mm. And that was, like, really, really hard on her, because she was like, but, like, this is my life, this is what's happened.
Right. And she had, like, a lot of people actually on her side, like, that knew them. Even some of his friends were like, yeah, he was always, like, fucking, like, treating her like shit and whatever. Again, not saying you should cut off anybody's extremities.
We're not excusing Lorena Bobbitt's actions.
We're just excusing it, but I do understand it to some extent.
The core of where it comes from isn't like, my husband had sex with me and didn't let me come once. It's like, my husband raped me and assaulted me and threatened me and abused me in all these other ways. Which is
one of the things that they actually said. Like, one of the things was that she was angry because she didn't come after sex.
Yeah, that's what she told the police, like, the night that it happened, but also the night that it happened, like, they both said things that they later changed or recanted. And so I think that really was a, like, psychosis moment where she was just, like, saying shit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she wasn't that planned about it. She was, like, driving to her friend's house, throwing dicks out the window.
Her she had, like, so few friends that she had to drive to her boss's house.
Yeah.
Like, she just, like, had no one to talk to and no one to be with.
And thank God her boss was, like, a nice
person,
She got her a lawyer, and she got
she called the police immediately and, like, got everything handled really quick so that it didn't turn into, like, some crazy manhunt.
And honestly, I think if people didn't assume that this was, like, that bad, like, this relationship wasn't that bad, that nobody would have even fucking helped her at all. Let alone some of his friends saying, yeah, that was fucking like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if one of my friends who's in, like, a committed relationship now came to my door and was like, I cut off my boyfriend's dick, I would be like, why did you do that?
And why are you here?
Why did you come to my apartment? Now I have to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think if there's a friend that would be like, yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, where you would be like, okay.
There's a couple friends that they came over with a dick in their hand and was like, I cut off this guy's dick. I'd be like, all right, I got your back. Like, I do think that is friendship.
It's true. It's true.
That's, and like, that's the scale of friendship. If a friend showed up at your house with a dick, like, if you showed up at my house with a dick, I'd let you in.
I mean, I would let them in. My problem comes with, like, if it's someone I know who's in a relationship and has never before been like, hey, Maria, I really gotta talk to you. Like, this isn't going so well. There's problems, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, like, everything was fine and you showed up with a dick. I would have, like, 900 more questions than if I, like, knew you were having trouble.
I'm gonna always have questions.
I mean, yes.
I'm always gonna have questions.
There's no world in which you show up at my house with a dick and I'm gonna be like, okay, great. Like, what are we doing tonight?
No. There's no way that, like, we could just, like, have
move
ice cream and watch, like, I don't know,
a movie.
ID. Like, I'll be like, okay, dick,
though.
And it seemed to be, like, the best thing that ever happened to
that's the worst thing, and it, like, makes me so angry every time I talk about it, is
how great his life is because
his life took a 180, and he went from living in this, like, tiny-ass town in Northern Virginia, working whatever dumb job
he didn't have a job.
Oh, yeah, that's right, she supported him. She worked, like, 12 hours a day at a nail salon.
Yeah, he occasionally would get a job and then get fired because he was so fucking lazy.
Yeah, and he just, like, sat and, like, it's, like, the equivalent of, like,
sit around getting drunk,
Pop-Tarts and shit.
then fucking try to, like, rape her. Not try, rape her.
Rape her. Yeah, and also another thing that bothers me is that John Wayne Bobbitt has been accused of sexual assault by 3 different women and convicted once. So, all I'm saying is there's one common denominator in this scenanator, and it is John Wayne Bobbitt. That's all I'm saying.
And Lorena's only cut off one dick in her whole life. Her whole life. Only one dick.
he went through, they got the dick, he went through like 9 hours of surgery with these like crazy great surgeons who were like, yeah, we did everything that we could, and like you'll still hopefully be able to use this, but also it might not work and it might just like fall off of your body, which did not happen.
It did not. He ended up doing.
He made 2 porns. Yeah, one with Ron Jeremy. I don't know about the other one.
Which I would just never watch.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
Like listen, I am not a prude. I watch porn. I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely would not. I think we need a better quality of men in porn.
Yes, I agree with that.
I am so tired of watching these disgusting guys just sweating.
But the problem is
gross.
The men who we want to be in porn would not be comfortable being in porn.
But why though? I don't understand. You know, Bella Thorne is directing on Pornhub now, so maybe she'll elevate the
Hopefully.
genre. I doubt it, because I do follow Bella Thorne sometimes on social media just to see what the fuck she's
What's
doing.
going on?
And it's cray. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna get better. But yeah, I don't know, like him doing porn, him doing all these different things.
Yeah, he did porn, he
so
did
pompous.
late night shows, he did the news, like I think he wrote a book, he made like man protector things, there was merchandise, he had penis enlargement surgery, and then he had surgery to return his penis to his normal size. Like I think it was his lawyer said that no one will have ever so thoroughly exploited a viral situation like this. Like, he made all of the money that he fucking could.
And even in, like, the documentary when he's, like, sitting
I
there.
hated watching him talk about it. It made me so angry.
Gross. He's so, like, laughing about, like, her abuse and just all this shit. And, like, I had no respect for him. I was, like, I do want to feel bad. I want to feel bad for him because he is a victim.
Yeah, but he also made, like,
I don't feel bad for him.
Some really gross comments about the Me Too movement, where he was like, well, why not men?
Why wouldn't he?
Why can't I say Me Too, you know? Like, I got my dick cut off, like...
And in a way he can.
And it's like, yeah, you can say that, but what other men... And I'm sure there are other men who've been sexually assaulted and abused, and there's definitely other men and, like, non-binary and whatever, like, people get assaulted all the time.
And I don't want to demean any of them.
And but, like, all I'm saying is the Me Too movement in Hollywood specifically is like, okay, let's get all these sleazebags out of these jobs.
Right.
Like, let's clean house so that we don't keep having to be like, hey, this guy touched my ass, or this woman sexually assaulted me.
I will say he does have a case to say Me Too, but he also has the case to actually have Me Too said on him.
For sure.
So it's like a Me Too streak.
And he's also, like, it just goes back to this, like, dude, you are the only man who, like, is in this situation. Right. You know? Like, there's nobody else in the country right now who's like, yeah, my wife also got super mad at me and I, like, I'm sure at some point people have done that and it hasn't made, like, global headlines. But it just, like, the fact that he can't see past and be like, oh, this is not about me and my personal grievances and injuries. This is about a global conversation about making sure that everyone is comfortable and can, like, get what they need and don't have to be assaulted to get a job.
He is a very pompous man. He is a very weird man. And the facts of the case are that he and her met, she was very young. He, like, loved the fact that she was a young immigrant religious virgin. And she didn't, you know, she fell in love with him. They started their life together, and he, like, couldn't keep a job, was beating her constantly, and, like, demanding anal sex and all kinds of weird shit. Listen, if you're consensual adults, it's not weird shit. I'm not gonna say that. It's, like, whatever you want to do, but, like, she wasn't consenting. Yeah. She didn't want it, and she was tired of it. And then that one night, she was like, I'm so fucking tired of you doing this to me. I'm gonna cut your dick off. You know?
Yeah.
Not justifying it at all, but there was a point of abuse.
Yeah.
Where I think you just get crazy. And it is a crazy act.
No,
crazy act.
It is crazy. It is like you enter a state of temporary insanity where you just cannot process things and can no longer appropriately respond to things. And so it like just becomes this logical next step where you're like, of course I would cut his dick off. Like,
right.
Why wouldn't I cut his dick off?
I mean, I'm gonna say I wouldn't cut his dick off, but, you know, sorry, technical difficulty. I'm gonna say I wouldn't cut his dick off, but, I mean, I've fantasized about shit, you know? I mean, I'm gonna tell you, this is like a really big overshare, so let's just go. But I'm not gonna use his name. But anyway, so one of my boyfriends, there was one of my boyfriends years and years ago. I used to get mad at him all the time, and I would just be like, "Your balls will fall off in 7 days." Like I was just like, that was my thing. I was just like, I was like, "You fucking fucked with me again." Listen, it wasn't a healthy relationship. He was very not nice to me. But anyway, I would say that all the time. And so this one time that we broke up, because we broke up a lot, he called me like a couple days later, and he's like, "Call it off." And I was like, "What? What are you fucking talking about?" He's like, "I have a fucking ball infection. Call it off." And I was like, what?
Magic.
Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. So my manifestation law of attraction works.
There you go.
She should have just imagined it.
Use the secret and just put that energy out there.
The imaginary.
Vision boarded it.
Vision board that shit. Weird looking vision board.
Just what? Dismembered cocks?
No, don't do it. But yeah. So that, I mean, like, I've definitely had like fantasies, especially like when you, as a woman, have experience as much. And I think it's like every woman to some degree has experienced this, like some kind of form of sexual assault or sexual harassment, and you're just like, fuck their dicks.
Yup.
As much as I love the dick, because I do, I respect the dick, I love the dick, I get, but fuck that dick for like hurting me, for like dictating so much of my life, for dictating so many of my rights, like for dictating how my body's treated, like fuck it. And then I think that's why like I'm surprised it was so much of a joke to so many people instead of a banner to raise.
Yeah, instead of this like, no, women are all over the world feel like this and are going through this, and like, we should take a bigger look at that than like.
And I think that was a slice of the pie.
Yeah,
I think
there were definitely women and people who were interested in that and took this up as like their cause.
Yeah,
but I think
it was a lot less because maybe of the time.
I think, probably the time, and it's also, just the pop culture popularity then was these, like, Animal House, and, like, the National Lampoon movies were all coming out, and so it was this, like, body, bro-y, like, vibe.
Well, comedy, you know, even now is so heavily male.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much better now. We have, like, great shows like the Black Lady Sketch Show, all these different ones where we're seeing more inclusion, we're seeing more stories, but even then, it's almost so segregated. It's like you're either watching a female comedy or you're watching a male comedy. Or you're watching a male comedy with some females that are funny in it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, like, Two Dope Queens is great, but it's like you're watching Two Dope Queens and you're gonna get, like, black women, queer men, and like, that's great, and that's wonderful, and that's a wonderful platform, but
white men are watching.
Exactly. It's very specific for specific audiences, and it's not opening it up to the broader community the way that, like, white men get to.
Right. It's like Broad City. You're watching Broad City because you're a female.
Because you're a lady. And you're like, maybe you're a dude who's kind of interested, but, like,
you
mostly
might be woke a little bit.
You're a lady.
And so I think, like, the fact that mainstream comedy is so heavily male, I think the only way they were comfortable with it was to make her a joke.
Well, and of course, because it's like one of the most terrifying things to a man. The idea that, like, your dick gets cut off especially by, like, a woman that you are sleeping with, that you're intimate with, that's, like, close to you.
Yeah.
And it's like they're horrified. They can't imagine anything worse. And as women, we're just like, wow, really? Because every time I have sex with you, I roll some dice if my body's gonna get taken over by a fucking alien fetus. And
Exactly. Just so many things.
But yeah.
They're just so not used to
They're not used to
bodies.
worrying about
Yeah.
the safety of their bodies in the public space.
Yeah.
Or in, like, their own private space. Whereas I think women go their whole lives constantly worrying about where their body is and how it's being presented to the world. Like, when I get on public transportation, I'm like, take up as little space as possible, angle yourself so no one can accidentally, like, touch your boob or something. Like,
your butt.
yeah, it's like a
whole,
it's a whole thing that, like, I do subconsciously now.
Yeah, I mean, we're taught it from a young age, like, you know, all kinds of dangers are out there, and it's up to us
to protect ourselves. Yeah.
Because if we don't protect ourselves,
then
why didn't we do it?
Then we're getting blamed, and it's our fault, and that's something that women just carry around. Yeah. And it's like my ex-boyfriend, we were walking around one day, and I had, like, leftovers from a restaurant, and a homeless man asked me if he could have them, and I just, like, kind of ignored him because, like, I am I am trained in martial arts, but I'm still a small woman. Like, I'm rusty at the martial arts I was trained in, so it's not, like, super second nature right now, and I'm never gonna be looking for a fight, but, like, a man approaching you and accosting you or asking you for something is automatically a red flag. It's this is a safety warning, get your guard up, and I just was like, no, and I kept walking. And my boyfriend was like, well, why didn't you talk to that person? Like, why don't you give them your food? And I was like, I could have been murdered. Like, they could pull a knife on me. Like, there's 600 things that they could have done that would make me feel so unsafe and uncomfortable and put me in a position to be hurt, that why would I enter into that? And he was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, these are all the micro decisions I make every day.
And guys don't get it. I think I know that we're not supposed to like him, but there's a episode of Master of None.
I have many feelings about that situation, but
I do too.
Overall, people canceled him.
But people canceled him. Although I do think he has a lot of great information.
He has a lot of great ideas and great information, and I think,
his
he
book
personally is
modern
just
love,
that's so good.
and Master of None.
So good.
And not that I don't believe that it was a horrible situation.
No, definitely a terrible, but it's a symptom of this greater thing.
Right. But he does have this episode of Master of None where his girlfriend kind of explains that, and then these guys walk around and they start experiencing the world like
through a woman.
Eye. And I was like, yeah, this is what it is. Like, I do think, like, guys need to know, like, I'm not a bitch when I'm walking down the street by myself. Like, a lot of times, like, we do another podcast together, and we both have to, like, go.
Yeah, we have to walk to our cars.
Sometimes
it's, like, a little far, and we might not have parked, like, next to each other, so we have to do it alone.
Yeah, and it's a little spooky.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, not that the guys in our podcast aren't chivalrous, they will totally walk us to a car and everything like that, but it's like, you know, sometimes you don't want to have to ask.
Want to be like, hey, can you walk me down this alleyway to my car?
Right. And then sometimes we don't realize it.
No.
You know?
And it's also like, once you get comfortable in a place too, you let some of that go down. Yeah. And you're like, oh no, but I'm home, I'm safe, and like that's also not true.
No, it's not true. And so, like, I think, like, you know, sometimes when I'm walking to my car, like, at one time I went down the alleyway and then I was like, this was a horrible fucking idea.
Yeah.
I am here alone as a woman walking down this alleyway in the middle of the night at, like,
10 p.m.
And there's, like, a group of guys hanging out by the car and they're talking to me, like, dance for me, this and that kind of stuff. Don't do that. Like, just don't. Like, you don't understand what it's like for a woman to walk down the street, so if she's by herself, don't fucking go up to her.
No.
And also, like, if it's at night, don't ever go up to her.
No.
Alone, whatever. Just leave them the fuck alone, because they are trying to get from point A to point B and safely. And they're on guard, and they're not being bitches, they're just trying to be safe.
Yeah, but we talked about this on our other podcast with our friends, and our friend Terrence is a black man, and he was talking about how he will cross the street if he's, like, walking behind a girl alone at night, because he understands, like, and recognizes, because he has so many female friends, that, like, he could be perceived as a threat, even though he knows he's not a threat.
Right. And it's not just, like, it's not a black man, it's not a white man,
but it's just,
man.
like, any man that you don't know
is walking behind me and I'm alone.
Yeah, and it's especially, like, in large cities, like, and especially in cities like LA, like, I feel like in New York, when I lived in Boston, it wasn't as big a thing that I thought about, because there were so many people around all the time when I was walking.
I guess so.
That it was something that I thought about when I was, like, alone at night, but it wasn't something that I thought about any other time. It was only like, oh, it's 3 a.m. and I'm drunk and I'm, like, alone on this street. But, like, in LA, it's like, it could be, like, 6 p.m. and if it is dark out, I'm automatically like, someone might just jump out of a dumpster and murder me, because there are no people walking around Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, especially in these little pockets. And then you're, like, trying to be safe, and then, you know, like, even with that group that was, like, trying to tell me to dance.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, thank you. Like, being kind of...
trying to be nice.
Semi-nice.
Yeah, do that polite woman thing.
And they were like, bitch. And I was like,
and
right,
it's
because
like,
I'm a bitch, because I'm walking down...
I have to go somewhere.
Right, or just because I'm walking down an alleyway and minding my own business in the middle of the night, and you're telling me to dance for you.
Yeah.
Like, why in the world would that be okay?
How creepy is that?
It's the implication, you know? It's like, it's like, I'm supposed to say hi, I'm supposed to dance for you, I'm supposed to perform
the expectation.
Yeah. Like, and I think that's the climate that's slowly, well, it's a battle. It's a battle right now.
Yeah. This is where the war has led us.
The war is here. Like, the war is here. Like, it used to be kind of like making statements. And now it's just like a big old, like, warfare.
Well, and I think especially in the last, like, 5 or 6 years, women have, with, like, cell phones and GoPros and stuff, have started just filming the way that the world interacts with them.
Yeah.
And I remember I worked at a podcast network, and a woman walked around New York for a day and filmed herself.
Oh, yeah,
and it was like, and it was like all of these men were accosting her. And I don't mean, like, every single man was like, hey, mommy, you're hot, or, like, yelling their phone number at her.
And that is not okay.
No, none of that is okay. But it was like people being like, hey, why won't you say hi to me? And it's like, go fuck yourself. If someone doesn't say hi to you, they don't want to say hi to you. The end. I'm also from Boston, where if you say hi to someone, either you're a tourist or you're probably going to get mugged. Like, there's no reason anyone is talking to anyone they don't know. So I absolutely don't understand this idea, this, like, like, middle of the country idea of, like, you just say hi to everyone. And I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. Don't talk to me.
I do kind of say hi to everyone when they say hi to me, because I think as an actor and as a kid actor, I was just, I was
friendly and
was very expected to say hi to strangers, be friendly, be cheery, be whatever, which is another whole freaking issue, which, you know, like, to be honest, got me in situations that were very difficult and horrible. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because, like, I also think another huge issue, and I've seen it so many times, and I'm just gonna stand up on my soapbox a little bit, is that the shaming of women that are experiencing this thing by other women.
Yes.
I walk down the street. I'm a confident, beautiful woman, and I get accosted a lot. I get touched. I get yelled at. I do that, and it is not 1% my fucking fault.
Yeah. The amount of people
1%
who feel like it's okay to touch part of another person that they don't know astounds me.
Yeah,
but absolutely astounds me.
I will say, I do not invite that.
Yeah. Oh, you're not walking around
of
like
my being is allowing that, and them doing it is wrong. Not 1% of it is my fucking fault. I don't care if I was walking down the street naked.
Yeah, no.
With a fucking smile on. Or a sign that said, fucking touch me. If I said no touching, you don't get to fucking touch me. And I think that's the thing. It's like a lot of women will, not a lot of women, but there are some women that will victim shame people that experiencing these things, experiencing the hooting, the hollering, the touching, the assault. They're like, well, what are you putting out in the world? What I'm putting out in the world is I'm walking down the fucking street as a human being that deserves the right to walk down the fucking street.
Even if the energy you are putting out is like, hey, I'm happy, I'm jovial, I'm like happy to engage with the world, that doesn't mean that anyone is ever allowed to touch you without your permission.
Or even if I walk down an alleyway and I got a little scared, still don't deserve to be assaulted.
No.
Still don't deserve any of the fucking treatment.
I read this interview with Alanis Morissette where she talks about her 4 truths of parenting, and it's no one's allowed to tell you how you feel. No one's allowed to touch any of your things without your permission. No one's allowed to touch you without your permission. And I forget the 4th one. But those are like the 4 core like things, right. And it's like one of the only 4 tenets of her parenting style is no one is allowed to touch you without your permission.
Exactly.
And that's like one of the best things to teach kids, because I think it's why we have like the society we do, is so many kids are like, nope, you gotta hug your grandma, you gotta hug this person, like you are forced to touch people even when you don't want to. And I found myself doing it when I like worked at a podcast network and I had these people coming in and like they were, you know, technically clients, and so you had to greet them and like everyone wanted to hug me, and I just don't like hugging a lot. I especially don't like hugging people I don't know. It makes me really uncomfortable. And so it was like this weird thing where I didn't know how to be like, could you just not touch me?
Because then you're a bitch.
Because the precedent has already been set that it's like, no, you hug. But and then it's like, well, what's wrong? Why can't I touch you? And it's like, well, I just don't want anyone to touch me.
There shouldn't be an expectation.
Yeah.
It should be great when people can communicate in the same way. That's awesome. But like, not all of us communicate in the same way. But I will say, like, over and over again, it is not a victim's fault. Like, ever. Ever. Like,
they never, ever. The only thing they did was live their life.
Like, and I know there's this whole, like, hippy-dippy thing where, like, the energy you put out is the energy you get in. And I will say, like, if you've been sexually assaulted or you've been attacked and you have slight PTSD, it is not your fault that you got attacked again.
No.
Do not put that energy out there.
No. And that's the thing, is, like, if that's how you're gonna get energy back, like, 90% of the time I walk around the world, I'm just like, I don't want anyone to talk to me.
Right.
Like,
does that happen?
That's the energy I put out. But no, for some reason, everyone in airports needs directions from me, or I have to watch some fucking children, or like, everyone decides to come up to me and ask me things, and I'm like, what about this says, please talk to me?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, like, I think that Lorena Bobbitt is an example of victim shaming.
For sure.
Right? And she was also a victimizer, so it's a very weird situation.
Hard. It's a hard situation, especially because he went to trial before she did.
Right. And he probably should have gone to trial a long time ago. She called the police on him multiple times.
Yeah.
And the police were, because he was military.
He was Marines, yeah. He also,
Marine police, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
He also called the police on her a few times.
Yes, but most of the time the police knew that she was attacked and whatever, or like that she was beaten up, and they were friends, and they were just like, oh, well, it's like domestic thing, like, fucking deal with
police,
it.
like, famously, for a very long time, were like, this just isn't our business. This is your domestic dispute. Right. And it, like, until, like, the 90s, it was very much like, well, if no one's, like, got a broken arm, there's nothing we can do here.
Yeah, and she was pretty badly off a lot of the time.
Yeah, she was bruised and, like,
beaten,
but, they just left it to them to deal with.
It's a horrible situation that turned into, like, one of the...
It's a punchline now.
It's a punchline, and it's a punchline I've used, I'm not gonna lie. I did feel 100% guilt when I sat down and heard her speak. Like, and then when I watched that documentary, I think it's a really good documentary if you guys haven't watched it.
Really good, yeah. It goes through, it breaks it down based on, like, the media, and then her trial and his trial, and all the different factors that went into it. It's really good.
I will say the first episode, you will laugh your ass off.
The first episode is great, because it's all of the crime scene investigators, and the amount of times they have to say the word penis, and when it happened, they were all like, I don't think I can say penis on the radio. Yeah. Like, can I put it through the walkie-talkie?
And I don't think you could actually say certain stuff.
There were certain words that you couldn't say.
Not on a radio, on a radio.
They like, kept on referring to it as, like, the appendage.
The appendage.
Yeah.
And they show it.
Oh, yeah, they show the, like, this tiny shriveled dick.
Yeah, they show
really
his nub, and his nub in.
I mean, and that's the other thing that I think about is I'm like, when you really get down to it, like a non-erect cock is such a weird, small thing to like have to like find. But two, then you have to they had to put it on ice and get it to the hospital.
And a guy that found it was like, I don't.
This is so silly.
I don't want to do anything. It's here.
Here it is.
It's here. It's right here. It was just. That's why I was saying the first episodes were really funny, because it is like all these guys are talking about it, and then the rest of it you start feeling a little bit.
You get into Lorena talks about the abuse and what like her home life was really like, and you hear John Wayne Bobbitt talking about like his life after the fact, and
which was
that's
roses and
that's
Chardonnay.
really what gets gross to me is when he comes in and is just like, and then I made all of this money and life is so great and
he's
like
sitting
here's
in
my
one of those,
nice house. Yeah, these
he's
like
sitting
lazy
in
boys
with like one of those giant like
he's like
cups.
giant. Yeah, it's like one of those 32 ounce like big gulp cups.
I don't know why that disturbed me so much. I was like, please stop.
Because it was one of those things where I was like, don't you own a glass?
No, he has like a huge
like I use a big gulp cup like to drink out of sometimes, but I'm unemployed.
Yeah, this gulp. Big gulp cups that like we're like $2 for a
reusable one, then you can refill it.
I was like, please don't have a big gulp cup. It really
was so disturbing.
I mean, there were so many things that were disturbing about the documentary, but that probably disturbed me the most.
Yeah, but this was funny enough though. This was another case where the like criminal stayed in the town afterwards. Like Lorena just stayed in Virginia and kept working as a nail artist. Could you imagine just like making an appointment and showing up and it's Lorena Bobbitt doing your nails?
No.
Like I don't know what I would do.
I don't even.
I think I would probably just start crying.
Does she have a nail salon now? No,
I don't know. She like has a whole other life now.
She does like a whole. She does victim advocacy. Now, and
she got really into it.
She has a kid.
Because for a really long time, she just totally stayed out of the public eye. She
Wouldn't you?
Oh, I would try to disappear so hard.
I mean, again, like I think of Monica Lewinsky so much around this time too, and I just think like how fucked she was for the rest of her life.
And that was so sad. Like I just feel so bad for Monica because like,
she started tweeting now.
He was charming and like he had all this power. He was the president. She was this intern.
Yeah.
And like she spent all this time with him. And so I like see how she got pulled into it, and then it was just like the rug was pulled out from under her, and it
she
like
was the problem.
Her whole life was just like destroyed, and she was like, I just thought I was like doing what I was supposed to be doing.
That's the thing. I mean, I think that guys don't quite get, and I think that's the thing about Aziz, I'm gonna say his name.
Yeah.
Is the expectation of sexual contact.
It's
between like how we feel we are expected to, even if we don't want to.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing. I read an article, and I think it was like right before the Aziz story came out, and it was a woman who was like, I've never been raped, but I've definitely been in sexual situations where I said yes to things that I 100% felt wrong doing and did not want to do, but I did not know how to extract myself from that situation safely without giving up sex.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hi, thanks for describing my first, 4 years of sexual activity.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what, Monica Lewinsky was doing.
Yeah.
It's how do you get out of having... blowing the president.
And and it sounds like that's what Lorena's marriage was even before the full-on rape started. Was she felt she had to comply and do this.
And she made Amy, especially with the anal sex, she didn't like it, she didn't want it, she multiple times said she did not want it. And he was like, fuck that shit.
You're my wife, this is what we do.
Yep. And so I think that was as a person that worked at a sex shop, there's safe ways and amazing ways to experience all kinds of different kinds of sex. The only uncomfortable way of doing sex is non-consensual, so don't fucking do it.
it's all much better when everyone wants it.
Yeah.
When everyone is excited, it's a way better experience.
Had they, like, been a healthy couple and talked about situations, like,
Yeah.
it would be fucking different.
That's the other thing is, like, we as a society just don't talk about sex. It's not something that we're brought up, like, being comfortable with or learning about for the most case. Like, a lot of kids learn from the internet because their parents are like, this is uncomfortable. And so you get all of these, like, people in these situations, like the Aziz situation where that girl was really uncomfortable and she was like, oh, I just, like, don't think I want to do that right now. And, like, all of her wording and body language was subtle. It was like she was almost being passive aggressive about it, but that's because that's how women are generally taught to, like, get out of those situations, is, like, be nice but say no.
Right.
And
because being so clear,
because trying to be direct in situations like that where there's that power imbalance can be scary, and it can be like, you don't know how it's gonna react, and it's not like, even in, like, regular relationships, women can be, like, afraid to be like, no, I'm just tired tonight, I don't want to have sex, or, like, openly even ask for what they want and, like, what they need, and it's like, it's so hard, and that stuff I wasn't good at until I started getting into, like, the BDSM community, because you have to be so clear and so open. Yes, not 50 Shades of Grey, but, like, the real community where you, like, are a dom and a sub and whatever. But before every, like, session, my partner and I will, like, sit down and be like, is there anything you need? Is there anything I need? Is there anything you want? Is there anything you absolutely don't want?
Well, that's the thing, is the respect.
The mutual respect.
The mutual respect in exploring different sexual things. And I just think it wasn't there.
Not at all.
For Lorena Bobbitt. And she got fucking tired of it. And she did a horrible thing. Nobody should
no one cut off, any body parts.
Get a divorce.
And that's, because it was all framed as, like, oh, he filed for divorce and she got mad and cut off his penis. But, like, that's not what happened.
Yeah. It's not what happened. But, poor Lorena. Poor
John.
Poor him as well, because, like, that's not great. Even though, like, the way he describes it, he's like, I didn't even know my penis was gone.
That's the other thing, is he was like, I didn't really feel it. I thought she was, because he was, like, drunk.
He was so drunk.
And he was like, I thought she was just, like, fooling around trying to go again, and then suddenly I, like, had no penis. Yeah. And it's like, what?
And then he was just, like, passed out on the bed when they try to, like...
Yeah, well, because he lost so much blood. You have, like, there's, like, a major artery in your dick.
Yeah, but you didn't feel it. So if that's some consolation prize, right? I don't know. So that's Lorena Bobbitt, you guys.
He still has a fully functioning penis. I think that's the consolation
prize. That's the consolation prize, is that he got to do porn.
He's a fully functioning dick, and he made 2 pornos.
I don't know.
So
dreams come true, I guess, maybe.
He tried.
But
that's Lorena Bobbitt. Thumbs down on the banana pudding Nilla cereal.
Yeah, definitely knives down on the Nilla Banana Pudding Cereal.
Yeah, no. So
also knives down on sexism.
Yeah, knives down on sexism
and also cutting off penis. Don't knives down on that. Like not like knives actually down.
But just like put your knives down and don't do that.
Down and don't cut off a penis or anything. Just don't cut off things.
Appendages attached.
Yeah, just chop up food only. Don't include that as food, because there's that guy that paid the guy to eat his penis. Like,
and then the band Rammstein wrote a song about it.
There you go. We'll add
that. Yeah,
we'll
find that one
to the Spotify. That's our show, you guys. You can find us at podcerealkiller on all social media, or you can email us podcerealkiller@gmail.com. You can find us on Goodreads, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Facebook,
Instagram, Twitter, everywhere.
If you have a song for our Spotify playlist, look up Serial Killer playlist and Serial Killer playlist, and you can add. It's open to the public, so add some cool songs. Also, join us on Goodreads and all the other amazing things.
Rate, review, share it with your friends. And give us
as well.
recommendations.
Yeah.